Well, welcome everybody to episode 87 of the Untitled Theme Entertainment Design Show. I'm your host, Andy Garfield. Patrick Kling could not join us today, but I'm sure he's watching with baby in arm as he has welcomed his new son, Ace, to the world. We welcome them. So today is a really special day. Charlie, bring up the photo. Today is the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Walt Disney Company on October 16th, 1923. And here you can see Walt and Roy dressed as two Highland Park bartenders. And no, I'm just kidding. I've actually been by this shop. It's a print shop now up on Kingswell, just about 3 or 4 miles from where I'm sitting right here. And, here at the Untitled Theme Entertainment Design Show, theme entertainment is in our names. And, 20 years, 25 years after this picture was taken, they sort of invented themed entertainment, and we wouldn't be here without them. And I think it's a really cool thing. And the Disney Company, again, just literally steps from where I am right now, is celebrating in a big way on the studio lot today. And I'm excited to see pictures from that. And the D23 celebration last night as well was a really cool thing. I didn't go to it, but I see some pictures. You could look for those online. But today we have some very special guests. We have Ryan Mitziker and Dylan DeFata from American Monsters. Let's go ahead and bring them on.
Hey, you guys.
Dylan, did I say your name correctly? I should have asked you.
Perfectly.
Great. Dylan DeFata.
Yeah, a little Italian.
Welcome, you guys.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here. I'm excited to talk about our project. I mean, I played a small part in it. The Onionhead's Revenge haunted attraction at the Mall of America out there in Minneapolis in the dark white north. I mean, I've known Ryan for years and working in the industry. I'm happy to meet Dylan today. And Ryan was kind enough to give me a call and ask me to make a small contribution to their attraction. I was very happy to do it. And let's talk about American Monsters and the attraction. You guys take it away.
Yeah, well, so thanks for having us. I mean, I guess first of all, happy Halloween. It is finally Halloween time, and we're really excited about that. It's the most wonderful time of the year, as you know. And in all seriousness, I think the thing that brings us here together today is that we love haunted houses, and it's no joke that building a haunted house is one of my first memories. In school with my mom helping out in grade school, and using spaghetti for brains, and making a tunnel that you have to crawl through, and haunted houses have been like part of my life for my whole life. And later I was able to do it on a bigger scale, working for Hollywood Horror Nights at Universal Studios Japan, and we've done Halloween overlays for Chimelong Group as our ongoing client. But nothing in my life compares to actually our other guest here, my friend Dylan, who's literally been born into haunted houses and knows more about it really than anyone I know.
Yeah, I have kind of been born into it. It was a family business here. My dad was in the Hollywood entertainment business. He was a talent agent, and I think it was sucking his soul dry. And he said, I need a change. And he heard of these haunted houses in the Midwest doing great. And he and his partner, Robert Bruce, decided to break off in 1991 and create these haunted houses. And so, yeah, from a very early age, I was born in 91, they opened up their first haunt. So I have just been surrounded by it probably more than any other thing in my whole life. Haunted houses have been a staple.
So you guys have joined forces now to create this new entity, American Monsters. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I guess we were longtime friends. In fact, there is a kind of multi-generational thing to it, because obviously my dad started Mizikra Entertainment, Greg's dad started the Haunted Hotel, And for 30 years, the Fata, clan has really ruled San Diego's haunt scene with a variety of different properties and projects and attractions and stuff. And from the haunted hotel to the scream zone, to the disturbance at the Del Mar Fairgrounds. Literally, the people that I've been talking to here in LA, like, have been going regularly. Like, people that went as high schoolers are taking their kids now. I mean, it's amazing that the legacy of and of course the haunted trail at Balboa Park, which is one of the biggest. So it's been amazing to see that. And our CEO, Charlotte Huggins, is longtime friends with Dylan's father, Greg. And so, there's a lot of kind of family and friendship, built into this relationship. And we actually got together to kind of complement each other in what we do. Mizuker Entertainment really bringing attraction design and intellectual property overlays to projects, and really relying on Haunted Hotel and the DeFatas to bring the operational know-how, the build skill sets, AVLC, to know how things work, where the rubber meets the road in an independent haunt, day in and day out, with all the craziness that goes on along with that. And it's been a really great match. And so we got together to create something with American Monsters that was originally scheduled for another location. And while that, we hope, still continues on, in the meantime, about around this time last year, we were contacted by the Mall of America, and Chris Grapp in particular, and they said, well, would you consider doing something at the Mall of America? And we had like mixed reactions, mixed emotions, because while the Mall of America gets hundreds of thousands of people on a regular basis, millions of people over the course of the year, it's not necessarily like, you don't necessarily go to the Mall of America to see something that is a PG-13 or rated R style haunted house, and that's where we want it to be. We want it to be in the same kind of category as a Halloween Horror Night, Halloween Horror Nights. Sorry, spacing. Like that kind of level, really in your face, really, as kind of as extreme as you can get without going to, we are a no touch haunt. So, we're not gonna, slam you into a coffin or anything like that. But in terms of the storytelling and everything, we wanted it to be, as scary as you can get. And so the Mall of America, in that sense, was a challenge to overcome, to get people to trust us to bring them in. And there's some things that we did that I think are kind of smart along the way. Number one, and we'd love to step through some photos and stuff, but number one, we have a bar, which is kind of cool. But the other thing that we did is, we have sort of G-rated advertising around the mall, and we before you go too much further, let me jump in. And but like I said, it is a sort of PG-13 or rated R kind of haunt. Our approach, and I think what really makes us different and makes this whole enterprise exciting to me, is that we wanted to create our own stories based on existing urban legends and myths and scary stories that are found throughout the United States. So, Dylan, please jump in if I'm saying something that if I'm missing anything. But really, that was the origin of American Monsters, which is finding those stories that we can bring to life in really scary and exciting haunted houses. And the first one that we had started to develop was called Onionhead's Revenge, based on a story that exists in Slidell, Louisiana. If you ask anyone from New Orleans, about 50-50 people who know about the story and who don't. And what we did was we started with the story that exists. You can find it, on the internet or creepypasta.com or whatever. And we took the kernel of the story and we created new characters, expanded on some of the themes, really visualized the characters in terms of costumes and makeup and really bring it to life. Plus the overlays of music and character performance, and really brought it to life. So now would be a good time if we can take a look at a couple of pictures. So this is the actual Our Lady of Lourdes Cemetery in Slidell, Louisiana. That is a real place where this legend is said to have taken place. And the story goes that Onionhead was the cruel nickname of someone from the backwoods who was accused of having murdered this girl. He was attacked by a vigilante mob and chopped into 13 pieces, and his body was spread across this cemetery in Slidell, Louisiana. And only to find out a couple of days later that, in fact, Onionhead didn't do it. The real killer was caught. And then in an act of vengeance, his mother put a curse on the town, and anyone who was going around the cemeteries at night was in jeopardy of being killed by Onionhead's ghost or reanimated remains or whatever. So that's all. That story exists in the world, and it's super creepy and was a great starting place for a Halloween haunt. And then from there, we actually created this attraction that brings those things to life. So here we are entering Our Lady of Lourdes Cemetery. Only this is right off of the Mall of America. We occupy the second floor south, which is a corner place that was once a Bloomingdale's and is now Onionhead's Revenge. So we've created a whole lobby to kind of recreate that town of Slidell. If you go ahead, you can step in. So a little clues to the story all around. You can see the angel with the rest in pieces, kind of nod to Onionhead's story. All throughout the lobby, there are signs that something has happened. There are performers who actually come up to you as part of like the immersive performance and are looking for Charlie and trying to give you clues as to what's going on. This little gas station just happens to be the snack bar and stuff. We can go to the next slide. So this is Vern's Moonshine, and Vern Tuttle is a character that we created that is kind of the keeper of the secrets of this whole story, and he actually is the caretaker of the cemetery. By day is his day job, and at night he's got this moonshine habit that he shares with everyone. So this is a working bar that people can visit before and after, and have a little liquid courage before they go into the haunt, and have a little nerve tonic after the haunt. And it's a super fun place. This is also the place where, if you go to the next slide, this is also the place that Andy created this amazing radio play. That there is an old style radio in this bar just right around the corner from here, and throughout the night you hear it's a kind of roadhouse sort of place, and so there's era appropriate music that actually flips back and forth between two channels. One is Gulfport Rock Radio on the other side of Slidell, and the other station is the WNOT Blue Note Radio that plays blues and New Orleans style jazz. And
you might recognize the DJ.
Oh yeah, But peppered with the two different DJs, there's also news stories about someone who's gone missing, as well as funny commercials, it really helps bring the area to life. It's not meant to be like, here's the story. It's kind of more just like, as Dylan said the other day, he was like, I was in there working, and all of a sudden I heard a thing about Slidell, and I was like, wait, what? And that's the kind of fun that we want to introduce. So people, like, you may not even hear it, at first, but then you pick up on more clues as to what's going on in here. So it's really very atmospheric, and the bar is a lot of fun. There's
you do serve moonshine there, actually, right?
So we have a variety of drinks, and we have beer and wine, and we have Keeper's Heart, Moscow Mules and whiskey lemonades and stuff like that. We were just given permission. Keeper's Heart is a special brand in Minnesota that's different story for a different day, but it is a local. We have a lot of local products in the haunt, and all our t-shirts and everything are printed locally in Minneapolis. And so we were just given permission to pour shots of whiskey, both in Vern's bar as well as in Doc Thibodeau's bar, which we'll get to in a second, which is another thing that's pretty unique about this place, is that there is a secret bar hidden inside the haunt.
I love that.
I'm not calling it a speakeasy, but I've heard some people have. Dylan just groaned.
I'm going to trademark that immediately.
But so it's let me just say, it's a great sort of gathering place for people to get together and have a drink before they start. Then the next thing that's really interesting is that if you purchase the Monster Pass, which is, there's a general admission, there's a VIP, front of line pass, and there's also a Monster Pass, you actually get to meet Vern himself, and he gives you some insight into what's happening around, and sort of sets the stage for the experience that you're about to have. If you go back to the slides, and I'll show you the next picture, this is actually, you visit the Mystic Oracle first, which is a kind of encampment on the side of Slidell, and you speak with the Mystic Oracle, and he or she gives you a card, which is your Monster Pass, and tells you the secrets about that particular monster. So in addition to Onionhead, there's also the Rougarou, which is the Cajun werewolf. There's the Grunch, which is sort of a goat-like animal that eats children. There's Charlie, who's the girl who went missing, and several others that are part of the monsters that you will encounter as you make your way through this experience. So from the Mystic Oracle, you then visit Vern, and Vern invites you in and gives you some of the backstory and secrets, and sets you on your way. The rest of the music inside of the haunt was created by our friend Tim Hossman, who does a great job for us with a lot of the shows that we make. And he did a great job creating a theme song for this whole attraction. But then once you're in, I'll hand it over to Dylan. It's haunted house mayhem. In fact, this is inside of the church that's adjacent to the cemetery yard, and things go from bad to worse.
I love you give the people of Minneapolis a little taste of some interactive theater too. If they haven't done something like that before.
Well, I haven't brought it up yet, but thank you for doing that, because our cast is really incredible. We have some standout performers. There's a great morale within the cast, and everybody is into it and having a lot of fun. And that is, exactly, sort of the dream scenario, because we honestly, we didn't know when we started. We didn't know what we were going to get, who was going to turn up, and it's always really gratifying to me when any kind of themed entertainment project that when you see the cast take the story and bring it to life, you know, a lot as theme designers, we spend a lot of time talking about and designing the environments, the scenic, you know, the little hidden elements and all the things that we're really proud of. But as live show, you know, producers, it brings things to another level when you have a cast and performers that really step up and perform the roles. And I have been blown away, honestly, about the level of performance.
That's great.
I'll touch on a couple as we go through a couple of pictures. So we start by exploring this world, beginning in the cemetery. I'm not going to give too much away in terms of the flow of the place, because I want people to go and have a great time. We've got 2 weeks left until Halloween, plus we're doing Dia de los Muertos on November 2nd. So there's still a lot of fun to be had. So you do enter Doc Thibodeau's house. Now, Dr. Thibodeau is another character that we created, and as part of the story, he is actually responsible. He's a surgeon slash, you know, gentleman in the backwoods who is he actually stitches Onionhead's pieces back together like a kind of amateur taxidermist, and through him and Onionhead's mother's kind of voodoo magic, he's brought back to life and, you know, reanimated. And so that idea of a taxidermy and stitching and some, you know, kind of gross stuff like that is definitely part of the story. Here's Mama Onionhead's sort of voodoo display. This is, you know, not under show lighting, but it was just so fun that we kind of wanted to show some of the pictures of it. I think you'll see one of the characters that lives in the closet in a minute here, maybe the next slide. Yeah, this performer is incredible, and you don't want to, you know, turn the corner and have this person be emerging from the closet or the sofa or under the bed.
And no, thank you.
But they do. You know, and once you're in the haunt, there is some classic haunted house stuff, blacklight things, very dark things. There are some mazes. There's two different areas that are actual mazes that you can get lost and you have to double back. As well as some of these little storytelling areas. And this is when you're in Onionhead's house. So there's actually that painting on the back wall is, if it's under black light, you see a little Monster Pass symbol highlighted, and you are actually welcome into yet another one of the secret rooms, and where there's a performer who tells part of the story. This is actually Dr. Thibodeau's bar. It's as if, you know, he set up a little speakeasy somewhere in the swamp. And this is one of the things I think that, you know, that Sean Chung, who couldn't be with us today, he's feeling sick. But this is one of the things that Sean Chung presented, I think, to Dylan and I was like, I don't know if that's going to work. Like, are people going to go? Are people going to drink in the middle of a haunted house? Are people going to be able to find it? You know, like, how is this going to work? Like, does it get full? Like, how is this going to work? I'm happy to report it is super cool, and it totally works. And so it is kind of in the dead center of this haunt. As you can see some show lighting in the background. And when you're sitting there, you hear screams, you hear doors slamming, you hear all kinds of stuff going on around you, but you're in this little oasis where you can actually, like, just chill and, like, you know, there's a performer or two that comes in here also, and so you're not exactly safe, but you are in, like, this little sort of respite for a minute. And I tip my hat to Sean Chung on this idea, because it's super cool. And it also looks really cool. If you go to the next slide, this place was decorated. So our production designers, Dan Rosinski, he did an incredible job with these really evocative environments. And if you look at that little nook in the back right, there's actually a place there where you can see into the haunt. This is yet another thing that I wasn't sure was going to work and is super fun. And you actually, as a guest, have the ability to see people coming at another part of the haunt and push a button that releases a gate where zombies come out of this gate. So you can like take part in the terror of unleashing these performers. And again, I was like, have we seen that somewhere? Like I'm like searching through, like memory banks and stuff, and like, are people gonna get it? And like, is it gonna work? And it's one of those things that I'm happy to report, like, is really, really fun.
I have to tell you, I mean, from my personal perspective, stumbling into a hidden bar in the middle of a haunted attraction would be like the dream. Like, oh, what? And then like, somebody hands you a drink and just like, oh my God, this is the best. And it's like, what a great idea. And like, and there's no time limit necessarily, right? Like you buy your ticket and you're going through the haunt and like you stumble through this bar and you're like, oh, I might sit here for 30 minutes and just sort of chill.
Well, and I love that idea. I'm a fan of the Magic Castle, and where it starts off and you think I'm going to hit these couple of things, but then you kind of extend your stay by exploring. If you were to walk through our haunt, it's 20 minutes. I think I haven't seen anyone come out faster than 20 minutes, maybe 18 minutes or something when I've timed it. But people have been there for an hour and 20 minutes, and exploring, taking their time, interacting with performers, and then sitting and having a drink. And what's cool about the bar is that also it just like feels really good to be in there. You can feel the energy of the place around you, and
the lighting in the set deck is just such perfection. It looks really, really, really good.
Yeah, there's a lot of good work that's been done by a lot of really talented people on our team. So,
and it seems like you solved the conga line problem too, with like having this sort of intermission kind of in the middle of the attraction as well.
And that's a good point. And it disrupts it, and so some people don't want to stop, and it helps with the pacing so that people can do their own thing. And it's if people want to kind of get past each other and go faster, or if people are, it's that thing, there's like the waders and the swimmers and the deep divers. I've heard it said, I think
Dave Cobb,
among others. There's really a chance for the deep divers to have fun and to let the swimmers go, and so it really plays into that, and that's a very cool thing. And just when you think it's over, it's not over. So there's surprises. So it's that bar is about the halfway point. So it's very cool. Here's one of the zombies that you can release, some of, like I said, some of our classic kind of haunt gags, different effects and stuff like that. And then interspersed are these really unique immersive performances. So it's a really nice mix. If you keep going, you made it to the gift shop. We designed all our own merch. Again, that's printed in Minnesota. A big shout out to some of our favorite designers here, like Stefan Lawrence and Lauren Olivares and Bobby Dragulescu, all of which have been really helpful with some incredible graphic design support and stuff. We made these t-shirts. The Fear is Here was our first logo that it actually glows in the dark and it looks really cool.
Nice.
And then Stefan helped with the Onionhead character logo based on a drawing by Chris Ulrich. Chris Ulrich is one of our art directors who's an incredible painter and has really brought a lot to different rooms in the haunt. And Chris Ulrich definitely deserves a shout out for the incredible work he did and a lot of the character development for the different creatures, and all of the creatures that are depicted on the Monster Pass are all Chris Ulrich illustrations, as well as he paints these bottles. This is one of our first inspiration images, which is little baby Onionhead. Isn't he cute? Yep.
I mentioned the set decoration and the design and some of the art direction and that kind of stuff. I mean, it looks so good. I mean, can we get into a little detail about who designed it, how it was designed, the process of going through and actually decorating the attraction like that? It looks so great.
Yeah. So it was a huge challenge because we started with a giant empty room, and I think part of the challenge is that it was similar to like a soundstage because we had power up in the in the ceiling, but there were no tenant improvements at all. So there's no place to plug anything in or anything. Everything we did, we had to build from scratch in the middle of this. As I said, it was formerly a Bloomingdale's, and one of the things that we have been facing is there's been a lot of talk about in themed entertainment about how do we take over where retail is on the decline. How do we bring entertainment to malls and retail settings? And this was certainly one of the answers. And so we had this space. We first had a plan that Dylan and Sean put together of how the actual haunt itself would work. We knew that we needed a lobby and that we had the opportunity to create a bar and a gift shop and a snack bar. And so the first was just a construction exercise, and it was done very quickly in terms of because it is a permanent haunt, but it is on a haunt timeline, not an Imagineering timeline in terms of mounting this, and so there was the build. Then we had Dan Rosinski led the scenic team, and so there was a scenic department, art department, AVLC department, all of which were working in tandem. And Dan really led the team that brought the place to life with some incredible artists, including Angelica Huggins, who did a great job on a lot of the rooms, and a mix of people from California as well as people from Minnesota who saw what we were doing and jumped in and really helped. And then we did the AVLC layer where we added lighting and all of the special effects and control elements. Of course, Dylan really led the charge in making sure everything was fireproof and to safety code, and getting all of the approvals that are necessary, which is it's just a major undertaking. And so then even once we opened, we've gone through really like every weekend we've added scares, we've added so we've tweaked some of the effects and lighting, and we've worked with performers each weekend or leading up to each weekend to really maximize the performance and the different scare moments, and so it is actually a work in progress, and will continue to be all the way up through Halloween and beyond, because you get to learn what works good in terms of scaring people or making things that are safe or repeatable. I mean, as Dylan will tell people that the job of a scare actor is really tough. It's hard. It's very physical, and you need to learn ways to be able to do things, repeat things safely, and in a way that where you're taking care of yourself, and so anyway, so it is an active work in progress, and it's a lot more like theater than I expected, where performance nights, it's the energy goes up as people get close, and now we've had this weekend was our highest weekend ever, as we expected, but now we have crowds waiting in the lobby at at 7 o'clock when it starts, and it's great to feel that energy and feel that performance. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and to Ryan's point, saying it's always a work in progress. We've been building haunted houses for decades and decades, and one of the reasons why it's always a work in progress is because they are labors of love, and we're passionate about them. And so we could just continue elaborating and enhancing well through October into the next year. And that's something that's so exciting about this project here at Mall of America, is we're going to be there for years and years, hopefully forever. And so the world I come from, which is we have to move into a location here in San Diego, whether it's a park or a fairgrounds or whatever it is, the end of the season, we have to tear it all down and spend the whole year planning next year's event. And so we spend all of this time, energy, thought, expense just to get to the same level of product for the following year. Here, we'll get to enhance every season, more elaborate overlays every season, more scares, and eventually it's just going to be out of control.
So were you implying then that you're not tearing this down? It's going to live there the rest of the year, and then you just come back and just like flip the switch and turn it back on?
Well, yes, there will be opportunities for us to do events and other haunt-themed things in the space throughout the year. A popular thing is halfway to Halloween. People love Halloween all year. Halloween can be 365 days a year if you want it to be. And we are those types of people. And the people that come to our events are those types of people. And for sure, our staff, the actors, they live, eat, breathe, sleep Halloween and haunts and horror. So we'll be opening up throughout the year. A Valentine's Day thing can be a fun haunted house. You can have luckily this year we had a Friday the 13th in October. There's Friday the 13th in other months too. So other opportunities to open up, and yes, next year, just not just so much come in and turn the lights on, because like I said, we're haunters and we love this world. So we're going to be in there all the time up until September.
The other one that we're talking about is actually, because we're based, thematically, we live in the world of New Orleans. We're looking at a Mardi Gras event, which could be a lot of fun.
That's a good idea.
Later in February.
To go back a little bit back to the building, how many days was it from empty Bloomingdale's to sort of ready to go?
It was unbelievable. It was 8 weeks from when we got our permit stamped to the day that we opened. And we're used to working under tight timelines. This was no different. It was brutal, but we hired a huge amount of our staff were local Minnesotan artists, carpenters, painters, scenic. And then we flew people in from California too that are used to building these types of events incredibly quickly. Where some of the events here in California that we have anywhere from 11 to 21 days to assemble haunts that have to be worth going to. And so we were prepared. We came in like Ryan said, Dan Rosinski, our art director, I think he cleared out every single thrift store that was in Minneapolis, and Ian Connell, who was working with him to make this set so beautiful. And then, yeah, the local talent just really came through, building these amazing scenic pieces or sets, whether it's a 14-foot tall church or, you know, a dungeon prison looking thing that you might normally see in a haunted house.
At another point, we bought all of the black paint available within like 12 miles.
There was one day where I had picked up 100 gallons of black paint. I lived at the mall. You know, I never went outside the mall, except I've been in every Home Depot, and everyone in every Home Depot knows me by name. And they say, "Oh no, the black paint guy!" Like in this little Mazda with 100 gallons of paint, single gallons. They didn't have the 5, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought, if I get in a car accident on the way back to the mall, this is going to make the news. I mean, I'll never get all the paint out of all my cracks and crevices for sure.
Right.
Hazmat situation.
You mentioned working with the local talent, both in trades and performers. I'd love to know more about that. What was the experience of working with locals and sort of getting them up to speed to the level that you guys are, demanding, for your, projects? Like, were there experienced haunters and haunt performers in the area, or did you have to like sort of crash course it?
That was something that we were kind of nervous about. We weren't sure what the type of talent would be, that, whether it's operational talent or build talent or actor talent. And so we ended up flying a few of our lead people from California in to help paint that picture, make that, what the quality level needs to be, kind of set that precedence. And we started hiring people. Turns out there's pretty large film base crew in Minneapolis, which I wasn't really expecting. But most of the people that were on our team are scenic painters. A lot of our carpenters were all from that film world in Minnesota. So that was really great because they're used to seasonal work and high quality work and tight deadlines. And so that was really a relief. And then when we got into hiring staff, as far as actors, you need 100 actors to run a haunted house that, needs to be staffed with 45 every night. People's availability is different every night. People get sick, whatever. And luckily, we were able to find a lot of haunters, people that have done haunts before. There's a fairgrounds out there that used to do a massive haunted house, and then this year they're not. And so haunters want to keep haunting. Haunters need a home. And so they were just rushing. They were finding us. And that was a huge relief. And, but like I said, we've been doing this for a long time, and it's been, middle of October. I've never said we have enough actors. We have too many actors. That's never come out of my mouth. So we continue to hire, and we've started to hire a lot of theater people. And it's a good balance because there's a haunt actor, and I kind of describe it as like a 5-year-old on a playground. They just running around, their hands up in the air, crawling, climbing on stuff. And then there's your theater people who kind of embody the characters a little bit more. And it's a nice mix in a haunted house, because a haunted house is a roller coaster, and you need those high intensity moments. And then you need those moments where you can take a breath and enjoy the story or the scenic, etc. So yeah, we've been really lucky with the talent that we've been able to find out there, and they are just so passionate. And that's something that I've found across all haunted houses is your actor talent. They live for this kind of stuff, and the camaraderie that's formed between your actors, it is a family. And it's something really unique that I just haven't experienced anywhere else.
That's awesome. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
So would you say that there's enough space in where you are to maybe have expansions in the coming years, or totally different experiences, in addition to Onionhead?
Absolutely. You know, we have a 50,000 square foot space.
That's big. How big is the haunt currently then within that space?
It's about 15,000 square feet. You know, we have a 7,000 square foot lobby, a 2,000 square foot queue, huge back of house, 1,000 square foot makeup wardrobe space. So we use the space, shop space, but you know, we are in a position, luckily, where we can adjust the haunt and the flow of the haunt to create space for a second event or an expansion of this event, whatever we need to do. You know, we build these houses from scratch every year in California, so we have a kind of a modular system in place. We built the event at Mall of America in the same way that we build those haunted houses, so that, like Ryan was saying, if we see something is just not quite working right or it can be enhanced, we can easily go in and modify our modular walls and modify the event, so that it not only is it kind of a new experience for people that came the year before, but also it gives us an opportunity to enhance and just lean into new ideas that might pop up.
But in terms of the wider space and the other things that are available, I mean, in this location, environmentally, we're in this bayou world of southern Louisiana, and Onionhead is the star of our attraction. Now, we do have these other American monsters that are mixed into it, and I think it would be amazing at another location to do a story, maybe that's based in New York City or a different kind of urban environment, and really activate that with where we've been, you know, searching for stories, and such a great fun just to dive into the folklore, you know, like present day folklore of different stories and horror stories and monsters and stuff, and sort of build out the world in another location with another story. And it's kind of cool that this one that we were developing, you know, even before we were in contact with the Mall of America, happened to be, I call Slidell the wrong end of the Mississippi, because the Mississippi River starts, you know, in Minnesota and winds its way all the way down through the states. And so to me, there's this kind of cool, you know, reflection that's happening, and where we bring this character from the south and bring him to the north. And I would love to see in a different location for us to explore a different kind of related, you know, monster story that could really be a lot of fun. Like if we're in New York, maybe we tell a New England, you know, horror story, or something like that, or, you know, have fun with mixing locations and genres, and really telling stories in new locations where I'm convinced now there's tens of thousands of people who know who Onionhead is, who didn't know who Onionhead was a month ago, and that's really cool. And to be able to you know, delve into those stories and own those stories and own the intellectual property and share that with people is really satisfying to me. It's actually kind of like why we do what we do, in you know, in my opinion. And
sure, it's all about storytelling.
And when you can be involved in bringing the story to life through the music and the sound design, I mean, that makes such a difference in the experience. And
for sure.
And so that is great fun.
I think the old George Lucas axiom applies to theme entertainment as well as film and television. Is, you know, sound is half the picture.
Totally. I mean, and loud sounds make a huge difference in a haunted house.
Yeah. One of the things I'm interested in too about local haunts like this is, especially a new one coming from nowhere, suddenly in a big location, a big, you know, well-known location of this. How do you get the word out? What kind of advertising have you been doing that you found is successful to, like, get this, you know, totally new thing out of left field for the local people? How do you get them in there?
It has been I'll let Dylan answer, but I'll tell you, it has been an all of the above kind of proposition.
Yeah, exactly. All of the above. There's methods that we think are pretty tried and true. You come into a market and, you do big radio buys and have to have a strong social media presence. Then you get there and, you track attendance, and you have to follow up on where these people are hearing from you, and you have to put yourself in a position to be able to pivot. So, every year we pivot. Every year we get moving, and we look closely at attendance and analytics, and you have to get creative. And the world is always changing. Influencers weren't really a thing at one point. Now they're a thing. Radio talk show hosts used to be the influencers. They still can be. But, there's a lot of types of people we want to reach, and they get their information from all sorts of places. Somebody who's getting their information from an influencer might not be getting their information from radio, but there's a lot of people we want to come and see our product that listen to radio. So you just have to be diverse, all of the above, and get creative. Partnerships that you might not think of. This year we have a partnership with Blood Drive out in Minnesota. And it kind of fits, you look for things that might fit with your brand and get creative and lean on each other.
Well, I hope that somebody watching this today or in the future, in the next couple of weeks, sees this and heads out there and enjoys what you guys have been doing, because it looks great. It sounds great. I can attest that it sounds great.
Go to AmericanMonsters.com and check it out. You can buy tickets. Please buy tickets. But also check out the vibe and check out the story. There's a lot of fun information there. But the other thing I was going to say is that we have found in our tracking, of ticket sales and stuff, that we have had guests from probably about 12 or 15 different states.
Wow.
The Northwest, East Coast. It's actually been surprising. Our main audience overwhelmingly is Minneapolis, Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. So, an influencer, that you follow, whatever, you might want to go there, but you're, 3 states away. I've been surprised that we have had those people who are like, this is a new haunted house. I want to check it out. Like, I'm going, and I've talked to the people who are like, yeah, we're from, I talked to a couple from Washington State that were like, this is what we do. We had to check it out, and flew there. We've also, Andy, had 2 different couples who proposed to each other.
Wow.
And are now engaged, who proposed to each other in the middle of the haunt.
In the speakeasy or like in the maze?
One was, I think they were both toward the end. There's maybe a false ending where people think that's the end of it. And they were both in that location. I think they thought it was the end, but then there's a little more to it.
Well, haunt fans are a dedicated bunch, that's for sure. That I know people that fly all over the world and the country just to go to the latest and greatest and newest. I'm sure that they've all been there, and your reputation is great. I mean, I've heard people talking about it that I wouldn't have expected. It sounds great, and I wish I could visit maybe next year.
Yes, please come. It's really fun to be a part of and to see it, kind of from the ground up. And I think that we didn't anticipate how much we were going to be part of the community in Minnesota and in Bloomington in particular, but all through Twin Cities. And it has been really great to see the acceptance, and because we were a disruptor to the market and the other things that were going on, but it's been great to see the reviews, and overwhelmingly people are having a great time, being scared, having fun, having a drink, and having a good Halloween night out.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I'll have a drink for me, and I really appreciate you guys coming on and chatting about this. I was very happy to learn more about it myself too. So hope that it continues to be a huge success.
Thank you, Andy. Thanks for having us.
Thanks,
Of course,
Andy.
man. Thanks, you guys, so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Charlie.